Hello, everyone. Welcome to XenTegra on Air podcast series. I'm your host, Indrajeet Ghorpade, Director Solution Engineering with XenTegra Private Limited. And I have with me two guests today. One is our friend Simon Townsend, field CTO with IGEL. And we have today like special guest with us, Muhammed-Ali Findik. In short, like you can call him Mali. He is the Vice President Product Management for with IGEL. Hey, hi Mali. Hi Simon. How are you?
Hi, Indrajeet. Thank you. I'm doing well. Happy
I
New Year to everybody.
Yep, we are doing good. Thank you, Indrajeet. I'm very excited to have Marley on the call today. Me and him have been working together for the last 3 years at IGEL. Super smart individual, fun guy. I could tell you lots of stories about his dance moves. You can always find me and Mally on the dance floor somewhere. But inside work, Mali is a great guy, and as he said, as I've worked very closely with him and the rest of his team over the last 3 years. We've obviously done a huge amount in the last 12 months, and there's a fair amount of good innovation coming out of that team there. So hopefully we can talk about some of that today. Um, and Indrajit, you had a good week?
Yeah, it was a good week. As always, right? Like even in the couple of episodes I mentioned, right now it's like kind of busy weeks. Lot of opportunities, lot of POCs, lot of technical discussions are happening. So yes, in all, it was a busy week. And yeah, so but this thing is like this particular platform where we are meeting and this is actually a good thing, right? Where at least we can discuss about like what you did, what I did, and like even we educate or pass on that information to our audience about what's going on with us as well as in the market. And yeah, overall it's good for me. And like I think now let's uh, pass on some more information or like I think talk more about like what's happening in the market and like overall with IGEL. And
Yeah.
today Mali in this on this platform, then I think we will able to or like we'll get a chance to know a lot of things from him because he is from the product management side of IGEL. So he must be having a lot of updates and like a lot of information for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the kind words, Simon. Yes, let's keep moving on and dancing in the next couple of time. Probably it's a good idea to give a short introduction of myself
Definitely, yeah.
for everybody who's not knowing me. So my name is Mali. I've joined IGEL exactly 3 years ago at as the VP of Product Management, leading the whole product management team. We've divided the product management in three product lines: the operating system, so IGEL OS, namely, and the endpoint management, so everything around the UMS, the Unified Management Suite, including things like ICG and so on. And the third product line is our newly introduced cloud services, which we introduced last year with the launch of the Cosmos platform. Then these are things like the app portal, the new onboarding service, and things like that. It's pretty new within the product portfolio that we are serving cloud services to make the life easier for the endpoint management administrators. That's the kind of our topics, and you can talk a little bit more in detail, but I think from a retrospective, we've worked almost 3 years before we introduced the new Cosmos platform. There was a ton of efforts going in, and we're really proud to have that finally launched last year in time frame of April. And the key topics were that we modularized the operating system to accomplish customer needs with the ability to flexible deploy different applications to the endpoint as their needs with the use cases. That's the kind of the key feature for OS 12, where we have modularized the operating system. And there are much more to come back in a few seconds. So
Yeah. So good thing. I think we will get a chance to know a lot of things from you, right, during our discussion today. Thank you so much for your introduction. Simon, you're like in addition to this, like if you want to add on anything about Mali, and like then I think again we today again we are having this because we have a special guest, so we'll make it more of a conversation, right, on ongoing things as well as like maybe what is new or like what is planned for 2024 by IGEL. So in that way we'll take this conversation ahead. But before like so you can add your thoughts.
Yeah, sure. So I think I've worked in a couple of organizations over the last 20 or so years. All of them have been software vendors selling solutions to customers. And I think one of the I won't say unique because there are other software vendors out there that do a good job of this, but one of the things I think IGEL is very good at is listening. And I think, it's Marley's team, and particularly Marley, who is more than happy to get on the phone with any customer, any partner like yourselves or any of your customers, um, and listen to what they're actually trying to achieve in their environment. And I think we've been very good at that. I think, you know, Cosmos has been a massive project for IGEL, right? You've basically taken this monolithic piece of firmware that we've had and built up for the last almost 20 years, and then IGEL OS 11 has had to completely rebuild that architecture and not start from the ground up, but really try and rebuild that, so it is better suited to today's world. And that's not an easy thing to do. And when you release a new product like we did in April 2023, you're actually running with two products simultaneously. Um, and some people may say, well, how do you do that? That doesn't sound right. Why does the new product not replace the old product? And actually, if you think about it, I'm quite into my gaming. I love my PlayStation and my Xboxes and all that sort of stuff. And I use this terminal, I use that gaming terminology to describe iGel technology as well. They will quite happily have current gen and next gen as two things, right? So
Yep.
current gen being the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series, what was it called? The Xbox One. And then you've got the next gen, right? Which is the PlayStation 5 and all that. And that is exactly what we're doing at the moment. And, you know, it's a perfect balance, right? At the moment, which is we've got 12,000 plus customers, 4 million endpoints who have been running iGel for a long time. We have to continue to serve those customers.
Yep.
But at the same time, we want to try and get as many people now moved onto the new platform. You've got to release new technology and simultaneously continue to add in, that functionality from all those third-party vendors like Liquidware and all the other imprivators and all the other integrations that we do. So listening to our customers is very, very important. And I think that's what Mali and Mali's team do a really, really good job of, is getting on the phone, listening to existing customers, understanding what their drivers are when they're looking to migrate their VDI infrastructure, what they're doing around their endpoint, and then the roadmap sort of plays quite nicely into that. And I think Mali and the team there should be really proud of what they've done because, as we'll discuss in a second, right, since releasing Cosmos, we've actually done quite a few updates, which probably takes us to a nice point. We should probably have a chat about what we've done in 2023, right? Just to recap on
Yep.
what we've delivered.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Simon. Mali, as like Simon actually touched base that point, the evolution of IGEL OS, right? Last couple of years, I call it maybe around 20 years, right? The OS and the hardware, then like detaching the hardware and like being a software only company, and then the platform like Cosmos, which is kind of like very excellent interface for the end users and a lot of customization possibilities and web-based app portal, all those like these are a lot of new things like for IGEL customers or like overall IGEL as a technology, right? So how the and majority of these things happen this year in 2023. So just want to understand from your side, like from product management side, like how was the journey, like and like what was the overall uh, at the back end where things because we actually seen the final product, but you better know, right? What was the what were the efforts behind that specific product and like how it is out for the end customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So um, we are very well known formally as a hardware vendor when we produce thin clients and then the operating system for the thin clients, the IGEL OS itself. And then after the couple of years, we realized that our main value is in the software, not in the hardware. So we learned from customer uh, that they would love to use our software solutions or the operating system itself, and in combination with our very granular, flexible way of controlling those endpoints from our endpoint management uh, needs to be broadbanded, meaning that it should be deployed to different hardware platforms because customers wanted to have the flexibility to choose whatever hardware platform they want to use with our software solution. And this was the time where we decided to exit the hardware strategy to work much more closer with our hardware partners like HP, Lenovo, and LG, and many more, just to name some of those. And this was really the freedom and the choice for the customers to use our solution very widely in their hybrid hardware fields. And I think that was kind of where we really realized that the power of our software solution, and in combination with what we had at that time, so OS 11 was very well fitting for classic use cases in the VDI environment, starting
Yep.
to allow customers using desktop as a service, so consuming the services directly. But there are some new use cases coming into place, especially when it comes to SaaS use cases. And if I say SaaS use cases,
Yep.
let's make an example. So unified communication as an example. Most of you probably know that unified communication does not only mean um, connecting to a remote desktop and using Zoom or Teams. It does mean um, that you also need to deploy a piece of software at the endpoint to give the
Yep.
same user experience like a fat client, where you have no latency in the connections, or the video stream, the audio streams are really peer-to-peer to your communication partner. And this is where we realized, and I think Zoom is a very good example because they have a cadence of updates where they control the service updates, and customers are forced to update to be able to connect to those SaaS solutions like Zoom. And this means it's not possible to use cloud services, to consume cloud services, if you're not on the edge, if you're not trying to accomplish the compatibility with small software updates on the endpoint. And this was the where we start to think about how can we enable our customers to stay on the edge without the need of qualifying the whole firmware anymore. So that's the
Yeah.
monolithic thing Simon referred to in the
Yep.
beginning. So OS 11 was built for VDI and remote desktops, but to be really flexible, and the choice of combining different versions to define when you want to update small of applications. This is exactly what customers were looking for, and I think that was where we rebuilt our modularization of our operating system from scratch. So that's really a kind of new operating system. It's not just a successor of OS 11. It's really made for different use cases and giving the flexibility to our customers and partners to choose from a bunch of applications and versions behind that application. That's I think
I've said it before. I think, but I don't. You can take some learnings from the mobile phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My iPhone sat on my desk right now, and imagine if the next time I wanted to watch Netflix, or the next Zoom call I had to go to, or the next time I wanted to write a message in WhatsApp or whatever it might be, I had to do an update of the entire phone. It was like, oh, there's a new version of WhatsApp out, and the way to get it is you've got to download a 3 gig iOS phone update. I mean, the world doesn't work like that, right? The
Yeah.
world is significantly smaller, more frequent updates, frictionless updates, and that's what you get with IGEL OS 12 versus OS 11, right? That's the world that we're living in. And to Marley's point, when I used to deploy Citrix environments with IGEL many years ago, I used to choose the IGEL device, choose the IGEL firmware, choose the version of Citrix, install it, and then I could walk away. And I'd walk away and I'd come back 3 years later, 5 years later, 6 years later. It was still running the same thing. It hadn't moved. It was still
Yeah.
working. Whereas in today's world, the Citrix cloud infrastructure is updating every month. The applications inside that environment are updating, like Zoom, etc. The number of endpoints that we've got and the different versions of endpoints that we've got. Some people have got laptops, some people have got different laptops, some people have got thin clients. So we're just in a very different world now. And also, I think I'd add to that is that the number of mobile use cases that we have seen have gone up, right? So there are more people today running IGEL on a laptop than any other time in the 23 years history of IGEL, right? So you need to be able to update those endpoints that are in people's homes, in coffee shops, in people's offices significantly easier. And I think that was another thought that was in our mind, right, Marley?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think Simon was referring to consumer products is a good choice if when we started to think about how can we improve the user experience and the way how our products are being used. And a further good example of the power of the OS 12 and the whole Cosmos platform is the use case, the showcase what we showed in a very simple and a short manner. If we show how easy it is to onboard a new IGEL OS device, vanilla device. So bringing those modularization as a technical foundation and adding the cloud services, maybe like the app portal where all applications are located, so a kind of software repository, plus the onboarding service, which enables end users to just buy a Lenovo device and then bring it home and unbox it and start using it. And after 3 questions and 3 minutes, you're up and running and you can do your daily business. And that's awesome to me, and that really excited me to see how good it was adopted by our customers by using those new functionalities from the Cosmos platform. So really just answer the question in which language do you want to talk to me, and where are you located to derive the time zone from and the time settings from. And the third question is who are you, meaning just type in your cloud identity. In most cases, you're just using your email address as your identity. and then typing your password, and then boom, it's getting up and running. It will deploy all policies. It will deploy all the applications you need for your individual environment, and then in few minutes you can use your Outlook, PowerPoint, whatever your your need is for a daily business. Yeah, and that's really impressive to see that we've achieved those goals what we set 3 years before when we started to design this product and the architecture for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in short, I'll say like this year, right? Because a lot of things happen. Majority like maybe last quarters of like 2022, and like majority things happened in this year. So it's like from that detaching the hardware, being a software only company, and this year like IGEL OS became a modular OS. I'll say like it's more of a modular OS now with the IGEL OS 12 or Cosmos, where customer or that end user has a choice, or like he can choose like required application like as per the need or as per the use case. And there is a lot of flexibility, right? Instead of having that earlier approach, right? Having that OS and like everything like which we are doing like within the UMS and those app deployments and those profiles. So right now it's like more of a modular thing, right? Where you'll get those couple of apps, and it is day by day increasing. The app portal is getting like added with a lot of apps, new apps, right? So customer has a choice. He can go on the app portal. He can just choose whatever apps he want, and like even for updates and upgrades, right? Like he has that choice to update and upgrade that specific application. So there are a lot of things changed that with IGEL OS 12 or like Cosmos OS, and that modularity or like that flexibility to the end user is kind of a achievement, I'll say, for 2023 for IGEL team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's perfectly summarized, Indrajeet. So the we are not stopping the classic use cases from our customers consuming the services on-prem from a VDI infrastructure, or even from the cloud with a DaaS infrastructure. But with moving forward, we realize that there are more use cases out there, and coming back to the SaaS services, or the software as a service applications, like just web applications. So we realized that it's getting the world is getting hybrid in terms of where you are, where you work, what kind of services you want to consume, and the way how you want to consume those. And this is where some of our customers ask for the ability to use really IGEL as the endpoint operating system to consume those services, and they're getting excited to use the classic Salesforce as an example out of IGEL OS directly, and with that our operating system and special the desktop itself came into the focus of the end users. And this was the time where we thought about, we need to improve and make the IGEL OS 12 more convenient in terms of user experience and UI. And we introduced the new framework. That's a kind of internal thing. We call it the Unified Design System, and this is to give a streamlined and consolidated way of building our user interfaces. And this is not just applicable for the operating system. It's also applied cross product lines, meaning the UMS, the web app of the UMS are being built on this based on these frameworks, and also the cloud services like the airport will get a new design refresh, and where we apply the unified design system across all our products. And this gives to come a little bit more in detail. What is the benefit of this new approach of a streamlined way of consuming our product? with the ability to use IGEL OS as a mobile operating system, there is much more things like and changing your workplace, meaning you have different kind of display monitor setups, or you're changing the network connectivity from wired to wireless and then back to wired, or even 4G, 5G networks capabilities, or WAN connectivities. And this is where we started to rebuild our the way of end users can control their end devices in terms of network connectivity, audio, video, peripherals, and display connected to those devices, and docking stations, and we did use a project called the Modern Desktop. We were rebuilding the complete desktop. This is not nothing we are doing from one day to another day. It is more a regular improvement, and we started to replace the tray applications. Some of those are already released with the last release of OS 12, where you can control your Bluetooth devices or trackpad and mouse settings out of the tray applications on the bottom right corner from OS 12. And we will continuously improve those. The next one with a big bang will be the really the display configuration tray application, where you easily can manage the different kind of display settings. So if you're moving from the home office to the office, you just set those environment once, and this will be persistent on your device, and the device will recognize where you are and automatically set up the environment like you've done it before. So you've not, it's a kind of.
I mean, I want to jump in there if I can, Manny, for a second, because I'm just thinking about how some of the listeners now will be listening to some of the things that you're talking about. And it could be, one question that could come up is, well, you're talking about giving users the ability to change things like their Bluetooth settings and add devices and change their screen layouts and configure their desktop. And they may well sit there and think, well, surely any operating system already does that, right? We do that with Windows day in, day out. We've always been able to change our wallpaper and change our screen resolutions, and we can do that on Mac. The big difference here, and the reason why you're starting to see it now in IGEL, is it's important just to point out, number one, security is always at the top of our agenda for both ourselves and our customers. So making sure that we deploy a solution that is administrator owned first and foremost, and administrator managed in the first instance is super, super important. So actually, historically, you don't want your users to be able to put USB keys in and open up.
Have a connectivity issue on Simon's office.
I think, yes, it looks like there is a disconnection at Simon's end. But let's continue with the conversation.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, sorry.
Back, I think.
Yeah.
Did I lose you?
10 seconds from your.
Oh, sorry. Where was I up to?
The USB key.
Right. Yeah. So, the point is you didn't want users to have that level of flexibility, particularly when it was a thin client in the office, right? You just wanted to deploy 1,000 thin clients and for them to all boot up and connect into Citrix, and the users couldn't change anything. And there are still a lot of environments that need that sort of level of control. But to Mali's point, as our use cases and the adoption of IGEL is growing and evolving because of hybrid and because of mobile work, we obviously need to be able to do that. So what you end up with is now a complete set of features that are have either come into the product or are coming into the product that do enable those employees to have way more flexibility and have that ability to change things. And I think it's super important that just people understand that, you know, where we've come from, very admin controlled, admin managed, security in mind first and foremost, to where we now need to be. I mean, to be honest with you, my son doesn't care. My children wouldn't care what operating system you put in front of them today. You know, 10, 20 years ago, it would have had to have been a Windows one, but now they're just like, as long as they can work out, okay, where do I need to change things and what do I need to do? They pretty much work it out, as can all of us, right? It's not just about the younger generation, right? We all do that. You give us an operating system. I mean, one thing that really, I was having a debate yesterday with someone. They said, "Oh, IGEL, you're that thin client company," and I went, "No, we're not." And they went, "Okay, I apologize. You're not a thin client company. You're a thin operating system company." And I went, "No, we're not even that. Like, we're just an operating system. We're just a super secure operating system. We're actually, you know, there's 150 developers that Marley works with in Germany, and they develop an operating system. It's a secure version of a Linux operating system. That is what it is. And, you know, everything we're doing at the moment is to try and improve either the admins, management, security and control, or the employees' usability, so that someone should be able to look at their endpoint strategy in 2024, and they say, right, are we going down a Windows route? Are we going to deploy Apple Mac? Are we going to deploy Chrome? Or are we going to deploy IGEL? And, you know, they should be able to make the right decision based on the criteria.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
That's a really important point to point it out. Still, the administrator has the control of giving the endpoint user the ability to control those devices. The administrator needs to enable the tray applications or disable those if it's not allowed for the end user to change those settings and to connect to different Wi-Fi's. It's still in control of the administrator to deploy the configurations for connecting to existing Wi-Fi settings. So that it's really what Simon said already. The flexibility. You can delegate those administration tasks to your end users. You don't have to. You can. It's the flexibility and the freedom of choice to do so. But of course, we see the use cases in the field, and we believe in that they will give the ability to connect to a Wi-Fi network for the end user, so they are able to use and really roam around the world and connect to different networks like a Starbucks coffee, because they need to work at that time when they're sitting in Starbucks, as an example. So that's exactly the use case we envision, and this is why we think they will do that and enable these settings. But still, it's in control of the administrator.
So in short, though the new flavor of operating system, IGEL OS 12 or Cosmos OS, is kind of a flexible modular operating system, but as IGEL is always focused on, like, the first priority of IGEL is security. It is still secure in a similar way. The administrator is having all that controls. He can decide, like, whom to allow and whom not to allow for making any specific changes. So that security in mind is still there, like, while developing any new product. And, like, it is the same way of delivering secure operating system to the end users.
Yeah. And that's why you'll find as well, without going into too much detail now, that's why you'll find that the roadmap contains some strategic parts to it, right? With a number of features that we're going to be bringing out over the next 12 months. But one of those big buckets, one of those big areas of focus continues to be security. So, you know, you look at, okay, can we deliver the best VDI, desktop as a service experience? We need to continue to put features and functionality into that bucket. Can we enable this new way of working where IGEL is a desktop operating system? We need to continue to put features into that. We need to make it easier for both employees and administrators to use, which is why we've got things like the unified console, the unified look and feel coming in, and updates to IGEL OS, which, you know, I can't wait for that. I've seen some of that and it looks so good. It's unbelievable. So that's coming soon. But yeah, that fourth area is security. And so, you know, when you start to look at, when we talk to customers now, what do they want? They want conditional access because people are working in a hybrid world. They want contextual access. So, you know, where am I today? What device am I on? What am I trying to access? Those two things are very, very important. They want more identity providers and ways of authenticating, and they want to interact both from the employee's point of view when they log on to the device. You know, there is an existing customer today that we're doing a lot of work with around Netscope, right? So the device gets enrolled. As the user logs on, the device is being enrolled in the Netscope environment. That gives a device level of security, secure service edge, and then the user logs on, and then there's additional conditional and contextual controls that we can add on top of that. But there's also, you know, just how we allow organizations or our customers to interact with us. How do they log on to our cloud services? Do they do that in a secure way? So we're bringing in some new stuff in that space. We've got some stuff going on with Microsoft around with their authentication layer and how we authenticate around AVD and Windows 365, etc. So security does tend to be, it's a big area of focus. But as I mentioned, there's sort of there's four buckets, right? Isn't there, Mali? Four strategic priorities at the moment.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And the security topic is and will still be topmost priority, and will add the ability to integrate more identity providers and more authentication methods into your, the OS 12. We've seen the operating system OS 12 as a platform. So it's not about just IGEL developing OS 12 and involving OS 12. It is also with a huge ecosystem or a technology partner community. They tend to integrate into OS 12, and that's the big change in comparison to OS 11, where we did the most of the integration. Now we have a platform. Now we have an SDK which we can provide to technology partners as well as for customers or everyone who is interested in building apps for OS 12. And apps is a kind of term we are using. It's not just classical applications like Citrus Workspace app or browser. It is also authentication method can be just an app which you can deploy. Just to make an example, we're working with very closely with Imprivator to enable healthcare workflows on OS 12. And on the other hand, we're working with Microsoft to bring the best user experience when it comes to AVD or cloud PC consumption. And we are the bridge between closing those gaps, bringing on one side an identity provider like Imprivator into play in combination with AVD connections. And that's very unique when we see the OS 12 as a platform to integrate with. So, and just to complete this, the story about the SDK, we will introduce a developer program next year where you can build application out of an online service just by registering for the developer program and getting access to the SDK itself and the ability to parameterize those applications, or the configuration possibility for those applications can be then done within what you see is what you get way of configuring those applications, and then clicking on create, and you will get out an OS 12 applications which is signed individually with your certificate, which we provide as in the time where you register for the developer program. program. So it's very unique, and we're still adding flexibility like we've done this before in OS 11 with the custom partitions, but now in a very, very secure way, because we are signing all applications with individual certificates, and the customer can establish a trust by saying, yeah, this vendor of applications is trustful enough, and we allow them to be
Yeah.
deployed on our endpoints. And that's coming back to the security story again, the most top priority things for 2024 for us.
Yeah. And I think this developer platform, it's I think like it will be a very good or like very like a good thing, right, in that particular way, right, which this OS is operating system like is growing or like is developed. Now it's modular, like there is a lot of flexibility, but it will add more flexibility to the customers. They can have their applications like those SDKs like tuned as per their right, requirement specifications, and then it will give a lot of flexibility to the end customers, like where they'll not be like they'll not have to rely on like those specific or like a kind of custom partitioning, right, which was there earlier, right? So here they can have that platform where they can customize and they can configure their app in a way they want, and then they can use it on IGEL OS 12 or like Cosmos OS. It's a
Yeah.
good thing. Like I think it's a great thing for next year, right, 2024, for our listeners,
Yeah.
like end
It
users.
really opens up new use cases and opportunities, right? So I'll give you just two examples really quickly just to finish up.
Yeah,
So there's a healthcare organization based in the States. They use IGEL for all their clinical workers. People
yeah,
tap in, they tap out of their machines, they look after patients, everything works. And it's tens of thousands of IGEL endpoints are running this, right? But we went and saw them probably only what, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago.
yeah,
And they said, hang on a second, if you're now an operating system and you've now got the ability to package up just one of our custom applications
yeah,
and deploy that down and manage it, then we could use IGEL on all of our IoT devices that control the doors and the the way that people enter the building. It's like, yep, no problem at all. Well, that has significant benefit because now they've got one management platform
yeah,
managing two different types of environments that are both now running very secure endpoints. One of them is a clinical workflow. One of them is, dare I say, a more sort of like IoT type of environment. Another customer based over here already uses IGEL for all of their VDI estate and accessing their VDI, and people get their email and do Teams calls and all the rest of it. Very standard use case. But
yeah,
there's another one where they want to put IGEL on tablet devices, and they want to have one very specific custom application deployed onto that device, so
yeah,
that I can come up to you as a customer and I can just ask you to sign. I can click a few buttons, etc., etc. Again, why do they want to do that? Because they want a single layer of management. It doesn't matter that these two different devices or two different use cases exist. When it comes up to a management level, they just need something that's secure and easy to manage. So this whole application developer portal and the fact that a customer is going to be able to take an application, very easily convert it into an IGEL app and then deploy it down into their environment, it just
yeah.
means that there are way more opportunities to use IGEL, even for even just in those two examples that I just gave you there. So super exciting times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With this, I think like so in this it was actually kind of a recap of 2023 and like I think what's coming new for 2024 for our listeners. So I'll say because we have covered like what how like IGEL overall evolution in this year, like enhancements in IGEL OS in this entire year, like what's new and like what are the things like which IGEL introduced in the new flavor of OS, IGEL OS 12 Cosmos, and what is coming up next year. So like I'll say to our listeners, stay tuned with us, and like we'll be like, having a lot of things to like things in next year, like or maybe in the next quarter. Like there'll be a lot of new things with IGEL. which will actually simplify your overall. It is for both, right? For the administrators as well as end users, there'll be a lot of flexibility. There'll be for administrators, there'll be a lot of flexibility on the administration point of view, like secured way of delivering things. And yes, so right, it is kind of a good thing for our listeners, and like the like I'll recommend them to stay tuned, and we will invite Mali very frequently in this kind of a podcast series so that at least he'll give us some updates, right? Which obviously he is allowed to speak in public forum, but like he'll at least come with some updates, some new things, which will actually maybe this will be the platform where you'll know something new about IGEL for the first time, right? And which will be kind of exciting thing, and people can plan their specific use cases or like they can think of like how they can utilize that particular feature in their existing environment.
Yeah, yeah. And the
Yeah,
other thing I'd say, I agree 100% with you, Indrajeet. The one thing I would say on top of that is just go back to what I said at the start about how the IGEL team like to listen. If any of your listeners now are working with you, there
yeah,
is an open invitation for them to come and have a conversation with all three parties where we can go into more detail as well, right? So we
yeah,
can have those conversations. We're happy to have those conversations. So anyone that's listening, if you want to get in contact with Indrajeet, get in contact with XenTegra. If you want to go down to that next level, Indrajeet can make that happen. We'll pull IGEL, um, XenTegra, and you together, and we can obviously dive down into the detail and roadmap in a little bit more detail.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, with this,
Good.
yeah, I think this is kind of like I'll say, like it's kind of a recap of the overall podcast series, like where we covered like so the overall journey of IGEL this year and like what's coming up next year. So I think it's good stuff, like good conversation, and with Mali in this call, right? A lot of new updates to all our listeners. So thanks, Mali. Thanks for being in this call, and like we'll definitely looking forward your presence in our upcoming episodes, right? Whenever you have, whenever time permits, like we request you to be in this platform to provide some more updates to our listeners. And
Th th
thanks, Simon. Yeah, Mali.
Yeah, I just want to also thank you for the opportunity to talk to about our products and the strategy 2024. We're really looking forward to give you more updates in the upcoming weeks and months. Was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Mali. Thanks, Simon. Thanks for this. And I think like maybe there'll be a surprise in the coming episodes. Maybe like Simon, like we will be having some other agenda, right? Where like we can talk about integrations of multiple technologies or like how
Yep.
one technology complements the other technology. So it's kind of a surprise thing which we'll cover in like our upcoming episodes. But thank you so much for your like time and adding value on this particular platform. Thanks, Simon. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You.